Now we're going to be talking about radical equations. Whenever you want to solve a radical equation, the very first thing you need to try to do is isolate the radical. If there are two radicals, you just need to isolate one of them. So in this problem, what we want to do is add 2 to both sides. That'll give us the square root of 4 minus x is equal to x plus 2. Now to get rid of a square root, we do the opposite of square root, which is square. So we're going to square both sides. Well, the square root and the square are opposite operations, so they cancel each other out, and you're left with 4 minus x equals. Well, remember, x plus 2 squared means this. When you multiply that, you get x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. Which is x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay, if we were to subtract 4 from both sides, that would be 0. If we were to add x to both sides, this would be 0. So we have 0 equals x squared plus 5x. Now we have a quadratic equation. We need to factor that. We can factor out an x. We'll be left with x plus 5. Now you need to set each of those factors equal to 0. X equals 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. Subtract 5 from both sides, so x equals negative 5. So your two solutions for this equation are 0 and negative 5. However, you do need to go back and check those. If you put 0 in here, 4 minus 0 is 4, the square root of 4 is 2, and 2 minus 2 is 0. And that's equal to 0, which is what we plugged in there. But let's try negative 5. 4 minus negative 5 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 is not equal to negative 5. So negative 5 does not work. So x equals 0 will be the solution to this equation. Be really careful, make sure you check all your answers in this section. Okay, in this one we actually have two radicals. So what we want to do is move this entire radical to the other side. So we'll have x plus 4 under the square root is equal to negative square root of x plus 8 plus 2. We need to get rid of the square root, so we're going to square both sides. So these go away, and we get x plus 4 is equal to something. You cannot just cross off these because you have this plus 2 in here. You actually have two terms. So we have to do like we did on that previous page and multiply everything out. I don't think there's enough room here, but I'll try. Negative square root of x plus 8 plus 2 times itself. Well, I'll just do that again. Okay, so we're going to have this times itself, which ends up being a positive x plus 8 because the square roots cancel out with the square. And then we'll have this times a 2. So we'll have minus 2 square root of x plus 8. And then we'll have this times another one of those, so another negative 2 square root of x plus 8. And then we'll have a 2 squared, which is 4. Okay, so if we were to write all of that out, we would have x, 8 plus 4 is 12. And these two added together will be minus 4 square roots of x plus 8. Okay, so let's see if we can write all that down. X plus 12 minus 4 square roots of x plus 8. Well, here we have x. If we subtract that, this is 0. So we end up with, let's go ahead and 12 minus 4 will give us, oh no, sorry, that 4 goes with that radical, doesn't it? So let's go ahead and subtract 12 from both sides. That'll make this one 0. We get negative 8 equals negative 4 square roots of x plus 8. Now, we have another radical. We need to isolate this one. So we can divide both sides by -4 to make these reduce to 1, and we get 2 is equal to the square root of x plus 8. Okay, now we get rid of the radical by squaring both sides, and we end up with 4 equals x plus 8. Subtract 8 from both sides, so x is -4. Of course, you need to go back and check your answer and make sure it works. I did check this one and it does work. I guess we could do that really fast. Right here, -4 plus 4 is 0. Square root of 0 is 0. Here, -4 plus 8 is 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. 0 plus 2 is 2. So that one does work. Okay, this time we have a cube root, but it's still going to work the same way. We need to isolate the radical. So let's move this 3 to the right hand side. We'll have the cube root of all this stuff is equal to 3. Okay, get rid of the cube root. We cube both sides. A cube root and a cube are opposite operations, so they cancel each other out. And 3 cubed is 27. Now we have a quadratic equation, so we need to set it equal to 0. Let's subtract the 27 from both sides. So we'll end up with x squared plus 5x, and then move the 27 over, and that would give us a -6. Now this will factor. Factors of -6 that add up to 5 are 1 and 6, where the 6 is positive. Set each one of those equal to 0. And solve. So x is equal to 1, or x is equal to -6. Make sure you check those and see if they both work. Okay, whenever you have a fraction for an exponent, it's the same thing as a radical. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to work with though. So let's isolate this part. We'll have x to the 3/4. If we add 8 to both sides, we get equals 8. Well, remember when you have a power to a power, like if you have x squared all cubed, you're supposed to multiply the powers and get x to the 6th power? Well, we want this power to be 1. So what do I have to multiply by at 3/4 if I want to get 1? I have to multiply it by 4/3, right? So what we want to do is raise both sides of this equation to the 4/3 power. That means the 3's go away and the 4's go away. So x is equal to, well, 8 to the 4/3 power means the cube root of 8 all to the 4th power. The cube root of 8 is 2, and 2 to the 4th power is 16. Make sure you check it. Okay, last one like this. We have a lot of stuff raised to the 1/6 power. So to get rid of that 1/6 power, we need to raise both sides to the 6th power. That will make these go away. So I have 18x squared minus 54x minus 8 is equal to 2 to the 6th power is 64. Okay, it looks like we can subtract 64 from both sides. So we'll have 18x squared minus 54x minus 72 equals 0. You can either factor out an 18 or you can divide everything by 18. If you divide everything by 18, then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, so divide every single thing by 18. We'll get x squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. Now we factor this. we need factors of -4 that add up to -3. That will be 1 and 4 where the 4 is negative. So x will be equal to a -1 or a 4. I guess I should have written this out, right? Set each one equal to 0. And when you solve each of those, you get x equals -1 and x equals 4. Of course, plug both of these back in and make sure they both work.